this is new. Hi guys, I'm Josh. I write Aspirational Living, and this is something new. 2020 hasn't exactly been the year that we'd all planned, and so what better time to start something new and to change. This is very nerve-wracking, and yeah, we're just going to see how it goes. So this year, like I said, has been very different. We've moved out of churches, we've stopped working, we've been working from home. We're learning to live in a new normal. And as I look around and talk with fellow Christians, the conversation often goes to, how are we going to go back? What are we going to do in order to get back to church? And that kind of got me thinking. And so the question, that I feel God's placed on my heart today, and granted it's controversial, so this might be my first and only video, is why are we so focused on going back? Why are we so focused on going back to the church that was before the pandemic? Because surely, shouldn't we be looking forward, looking instead for the opportunities of what the church of tomorrow could be? I think in order to find an answer to that question, we first need to look at who we are. We need to ask ourselves, what is church? What is my role? And how does this look in this post-pandemic world? I know for me, I'm a disciple. First and foremost, I'm a disciple of Jesus. That means that I'm called to a life of love. And in Matthew, we see that we're all called to make disciples of all nations. You see, I've been thinking a lot during the pandemic about this and about the change. And, our lives do change. But I take comfort in the fact that His promises, God's promise to us, doesn't. So maybe instead of looking at the past and trying to get back to something that maybe was not perfect to begin with, maybe we should be looking at how we can take the power of the past, because don't get me wrong, we have a great history and we have lots to learn, but how can we take the power of that and propel us to a better tomorrow? In order for us to do that, we need to be having serious conversations. We need to be talking. We need to be involved. We need to be thinking, what was so good? What worked? And we also need to have the difficult conversations of, well, what didn't work? What can we do differently? What can we do better? Because we all know that Jesus was the only perfect being to live. So therefore, there's always something for us to be doing. There's always something for us to be aspiring for that's different. So what can we do? What can you do? Well, in these times, in these uncertain times, we've got to look at the Bible. And that's where we find our truth. That's where we find what we need to be. We're called to be light in this dark world. So what does church look like when we're being the light? We're also called to be change makers. So what does church look like when we're being change makers? But fundamentally, we're called to love, to be love, to do love. So how does church look like when we're doing love? I think if we can answer those questions, if we can have those discussions, and we can change, then the church will be as vibrant as ever. Yes, we will have evolved, but in this time of change, we need to change too. So I guess, final question. If you take one thing away from this, it's this. How can we take the power of the past and propel us to tomorrow?